Our story begins in the sterile silence of a death row cell. Beckett Redfellow, disturbingly so. He tells Chaplain James that the rumors about his crimes aren't even half as fascinating as the truth. He takes us back decades to the moment his mother, Mary, fell in love with a penniless violinist named Airy. For the sin of marrying for love, the head fellow patriarch gave Mary an ultimatum: the baby or the billions. She chose Beckett. Meanwhile, that afternoon, in a dusty office in New Jersey, we see the reality of that choice. Mary spent her life working a soul-crushing job at the DMV, while her father died of an embolism the very day Beckett was born. Despite the poverty, Mary raised Beckett with the manners of a prince. She taught him about a complex tax shelter contract created by his great-grandfather, a legal loophole that meant Beckett was technically an heir, but only if 7 specific relatives died before him. Years later, Beckett is a salesman at a high-end tailor shop watching the 1% from the other side of the counter. His mother's deathbed wish that he reclaim the life stolen from them haunts him. The breaking point comes when he reunites with Julia, his childhood love, who now treats him like a servant. When he's fired from the tailor shop to make room for the boss's incompetent son, Beckett decides nature is taking too long. He will be the hand of fate. That evening, on the shores of a private estate, Beckett hunts his first target, Taylor, a high-stakes investment broker. Beckett watches from the shadows as Taylor takes a jet ski out to a secluded boat. When the jet ski stalls, Taylor arrogantly orders a drifter, aka Beckett in disguise, to help. In a moment of cold precision, Beckett loops a heavy anchor rope around Taylor's ankle. One shove, a sudden cough of panic, and the first obstacle is dragged into the dark depths of the Atlantic. The plan yields immediate results. At Taylor's funeral, Beckett meets his uncle Orrin. Unlike the rest of the clan, Orrin is mourning. Beckett charms him, playing the role of the long-lost, sophisticated nephew. Moved by guilt, Orrin offers Beckett Taylor's old job as a financial broker. Suddenly, the man who was measuring waistlines a week ago is managing billions. Meanwhile, in the dimly lit world of the New York art scene, Beckett targets his second cousin, Noah, a pretentious avant-garde photographer. Beckett masquerades as a fan of Noah's work, eventually getting invited to his private darkroom. There, he meets Ruth, Noah's girlfriend. Unlike the cold Headfellows, Ruth is genuine, and Beckett feels a spark of real connection. But the mission comes first. During a dinner where Noah mocks the idea of ever having children, Beckett slips away to the darkroom. He mixes sulfur and potassium chloride into the photographic chemicals, a homemade bomb waiting for a spark. He kisses Ruth goodbye, and moments later, Noah's sanctuary becomes a lethal inferno. 2 heirs are dead. The FBI, led by agents Penfield and Mitchell, starts sniffing around. Beckett remains cool, using a coworker's routine to build a perfect alibi. But Julia returns to his life, not as a lover, but as a desperate debtor. Her husband, Lyle, has bankrupted their family business. She suspects Beckett is the one clearing the path and subtly asks who is next. On the other side of the city, at a sprawling megachurch, Beckett dons the persona of a Christian journalist to interview Pastor Stephen Headfellow. The pastor is a money-laundering hypocrite who displays samurai swords in his office. Beckett spikes the pastor's drink with propane, but the conversation turns deadly when Stephen realizes Beckett isn't who he says he is. However, the poison works faster than the pastor's realization. Stephen collapses from a heart attack, and the church, fearing a scandal, buries the investigation along with the body. Beckett is now living a double life. He's moving in with Ruth, dreaming of a quiet life, but the list isn't finished. Aunt Cassandra, a humanitarian obsessed with her image, is next. Beckett infiltrates her high-end spa disguised as a specialist and treats her with a lethal experimental dental whitener. Then comes Uncle MacArthur, an aerospace tycoon. A poisoned cocktail during a lunar launch party removes the 6th obstacle. Only the final boss remains, his grandfather, the man known as Witch. Meanwhile, that same night, the walls close in. Julia intercepts Beckett at his office. She has photos. She knows everything. She demands $300,000 to pay off her husband's debts, or she sends the evidence to Ruth. Beckett is forced into a corner. He delivers the money to a pathetic, drunken Lyle, only to realize Julia is planning to abandon both of them once the Headfellow fortune is Beckett's. Beckett travels to the Headfellow fortress during a massive storm to face his grandfather, which is waiting for him. In a twisted revelation, the old man admits he respects Beckett's ruthlessness. He calls the financial market a meat grinder where only the killers survive. He hands Beckett an antique pistol and dares him to pull the trigger. When Beckett hesitates, Witch locks the doors and hunts him through the corridors with a shotgun. In a desperate moment of survival, Beckett finds a decorative bow and arrow. As the old man corners him, Beckett fires a single, perfect shot. The patriarch falls. When the police arrive, Beckett plays the victim of a senile, violent grandfather. The world believes him. He is the sole survivor. He is finally a billionaire. Beckett has everything, the money, the title, and Ruth. But the A24 twist is waiting. He is arrested for the murder of Lyle, Julia's husband. He didn't do it. Lyle committed suicide, but Julia framed Beckett perfectly, using his earlier visit to the office and the $300,000 check as proof of motive. Julia visits him in prison with a final offer. She has a letter from Lyle proving his suicide. She will save Beckett from execution only if he signs over the entire $19 billion fortune to her. As the gates of the prison open, Beckett is a free man, but he is a pauper. Ruth leaves him, unable to look at the man he became. Julia picks him up in a limousine, the same car he once dreamed of owning, but he is just a passenger in her empire now. He reflects on his grandfather's words, that conscience is just a voice you can ignore if you tilt your head the right way. As the credits roll, Beckett looks into the camera and asks the audience, is it worth it to win if you have to stop being human to do it?